এবার চেক করো না যদি আহে মানে স্টার্ট কৰি দিওঁ অঁ কৰোঁ
Good afternoon, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you all to this special session at Dibrugarh University International Literature Festival 2025, organized by Dibrugarh University in collaboration with Focal, where words weave the world. This session is titled The Road Frequently Traveled, focusing on the paths taken by writers and thinkers who explore diverse journeys, both physically and metaphorically, across cultures, geographies, and personal experiences. The authors you will hear from today have all, in their own ways, journeyed through worlds of change, adaptation, and deep reflection. Whether through their personal stories or literary exploration, they embody the spirit of travel, migration, and identity. Before we begin, let's take a moment to introduce our distinguished speakers. We have with us Anne Morgan. Ma'am, may I welcome you to the stage. Many of you might know her from her fascinating book, The World Between Two Covers, where she writes about how she read one book from every country in the world in a year. She brings a global perspective to literature, focusing on how books from different regions can bridge cultural divides and open up new worlds for readers. In addition to her non-fiction work, she is the author of 2 novels, the international bestseller Besides Myself and Crossing Over, when she is not writing, and speaks at events and leads reading workshops. A warm round of applause for her. Next, I would like to invite to the stage a renowned writer and traveler from Togo, Tete Mrs. Kopo-Massey, widely known for his unique memoir, An African in Greenland. His journey from West Africa to the icy landscapes of Greenland is a tale of curiosity, adventure, and crossing boundaries, both physical and cultural. His writing is not just about travel, but about discovering oneself through the unfamiliarities. His book, An African in Greenland, has now been translated into over 10 languages, and his story has been the subject of the BBC documentary The African Eskimo in 1988. A round of applause, sir, for sir. Joining with us for today's session is Shabnam Khan. Ma'am, may I welcome you to the stage? Khan is South African author and artist with Indian heritage. Her first novel, Onion Tears, about 3 generations of living in South Africa, was shortlisted for the Penguin Prize for African Writing. Her latest novel, The Gene Waits 100 Years, was published in 2024 in South Africa, the US, the UK, and India. It has received starred reviews from Kirkus Reviews and Library Journal, selected as NPR's Best Books for 2024, among others. A warm round of applause for ma'am as well. We are also honored to have with us Neza Boneza. Sir, may I have you on stage? Neza Boneza is a multifaceted individual with a profound impact across various fields. As a writer, lecturer, consultant, and freelance journalist, his work embodies themes of culture, diversity, peace, activism, and harmonious blend of artistic and academic pursuits. A warm round of applause, sir as well. I'd also like to introduce our rapporteurs for today's session, Ritika Bhattacharya and Partha Protim Bora, students of Political Science Department. We have also Rashmi Sharma and Violina Sunwal from the Media Cell. With this, I hand over the stage to Anne Morgan ma'am for the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. Thank you everyone for coming. It's a great pleasure to be chairing this fantastic panel talking about the subject of the road frequently travelled. When I was thinking about preparing this discussion, I was talking to an Australian friend of mine, and he said, "Oh, travel writing, that's a really colonial idea. It's of white Europeans going out and telling people how they find places." And I thought, gosh, that's interesting. And I wondered whether you think of yourselves as travel writers, or whether, because my perception is in your different ways, you've all found different ways to write about travel, and how you would respond to that idea, how you see your travel writing fitting with that. Do you want to start, Michelle? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Anne, and welcome everybody. Thank you. This is very complicated to explain because I have already said I am not a writer. I have written one book about what I have done. Just to tell my story, which was a very unexpected story. I had an accident, and then I read a book which inspired me to run away from my country. I was 16 years old. I could not realize what I woke up Where is Tete? Tete is nowhere. I disappeared. The next time they saw me was 12 years later. They all thought I was dead. Only from the radio and from the newspapers that they knew that I went to the other end of the world by myself. So, that story I related in my book, which makes me as a writer today. But I'm not a writer. And I have always been wondering about this strange title, The Road Frequently Traveled. Yeah, what does that mean? If it is frequently traveled, it means it is not a road for me. Many people travel the same road. I have not built that road. So, but in my village, there was no road, there was just a sentier. Path. Yeah, just path traced by the animals, which we follow to go and cut our coconuts. I have never built a road. Then I followed a road I didn't know, and I came to Greenland 8 years later. Where is my road? So, you know, yeah.
Travel writer in any way, and do any of the tropes of travel writing, how do they sit with you?
Yes, hello everyone. It's bizarre that someone would ask me if I'm a travel writer now. Up until 7 years ago, I wasn't even allowed to travel by myself. So I come from a very conservative community, and I was told from the time I was little, you know, the point of your life is to get married and have kids, and women cannot travel by themselves. But my grandfather used to tell us a lot of stories when we were young. So he came from India in the 1930s, and we live in South Africa. And he would tell us about his journey, and he would tell us stories about these folk tales and these mythological tales, and he really inspired in me my imagination. And it's a powerful thing when you stir up a child's imagination, because it left a very lasting impression on me. And so I would go to the library with my sister and read all these books, and I was like, oh, the world is waiting. But then everyone at home would keep telling me, as a woman, you can't go anywhere. The world is waiting out there, but everybody kept telling me you can't go alone. And so I didn't travel on my own until I was like 29 or 30, and it was also my way to Greenland, in the sense that I found a village in Kashmir, on a mountain in a village. I found it online, and I said, I'm going to go teach there. And my father said, you can't go. And this was something we've been arguing for so long, throughout my whole 20s. And he's like, no, you can't travel if you're not married. You can't. And we just fight about it. And he'd be like, if you live under my roof, you can't do this. And it was just something we went on and on and on about, you know, almost till I was about 30. And I just said, I'm going. And I think we both just came to the way, and that's why I don't hold it against him, because he did try to help me in his own version of things to let me go. But he left me at the bottom of the mountain, and basically a donkey takes you up for 3 hours up to this village, and I lived in that village for like 4 or 5 months. And when I came down, he took me back to South Africa. But that was my first taste of what it was to travel. And so and then the doors kind of opened after that, because I started traveling. I wrote my novel soon after that, so I got opportunities to travel. My father and I came to some understanding, and now I travel. I'm trying to make up for all that travel that I didn't do. But it seems so strange to me for someone to say, you're a travel writer, because I didn't think I would ever be at one stage. I used to sit and cry about this. I want to go out, but I don't want to disappoint my parents. But I want to go out, but I don't want to disobey them, because I was also a good daughter. But it worked out such that now I think when I travel, I have a greater appreciation, because I know it makes everything seem very magical to me, because I know that I might not have had that opportunity if I didn't fight for it.
Thank you. And what about you, Rice? Your novel White Eldorado, Black Fever. It tells the story of a journey within your first home country, doesn't it? Do you think of yourself as a travel writer at all?
I think myself as I think that all of us, we are traveler, but I cannot qualify myself as a traveler writer. That is to be a little bit pretentious. But we are travelers, and as you say, also frequently traveling. It's quite strange because my roads are quite different. It's unusual, especially in the book, but also for my little experience, especially coming from a war-torn region. You know, I've done in my life, when at 13, I've done 2,000 kilometers by foot. I'm not joking. Myself, by foot. Through the equatorial forest. And after that, I've crossed borders to try to rebuild myself, learn new languages, hide myself, hide my identity, change names for a month, try to change even faces, because sometimes at some places they will look at you, they will suspect you to be from this ethnical group or the other ethnical group. So you will try to, camouflage yourself to look the way the other must expect you to look like. And then from that, you learn. You go to languages, and after that, borders to borders, from 32 degrees in the shadow, you go to minus 25, and dark it is outside, and no one to see. So, at that point you decide either you light down the sun that you came with in your heart, and you remain with a dark soul, or either you shine and become bigger, and lighter. So, that's the decision of the poet. Shine, not be just a simple human being. The poet is a star. All poets are stars. And that's what I feel like. That's my traveling and my journey.
Lovely, thank you. It's interesting what you were saying there about trying to pass, trying to fit in, trying to modify so that you would. I think something that comes through in all your different writing is this question of difference and of the threats that are posed when you're travelling as someone who may be different from the community you're moving through. And that's something I think that is a stark difference compared to European travel writing, where those dangers are rarely considered. Shabnam, you write about this. Really, it's very funny the way you write, but the subject matter is very serious. As a Muslim woman travelling from South Africa, encountering various challenges. I mean, there was a question of, were you married when you were trying to get a visa that held you up? And you write, it's very amusing, the essay you write in your book, How I Became a Global Stock Photo, which you have there, I think. It's a wonderful book. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those experiences and your thinking on that?
Yes, I live in South Africa, and I was applying for a Canadian visa. And basically, most of my stories are funny in this book, but I think I do talk on serious subjects, and I do think sometimes you have to talk on serious subjects in a funny way, otherwise you'll just be crying throughout it all and nobody will want to read it. It just makes it in an entertaining way to understand information. And basically, when I applied for the visa, I was told to come in for an interview, and the interview was in another city, so you must understand I have to now pay and fly to another city. I had to go with my father because my father didn't allow me to travel alone. So he and I had to both go to this other city, get accommodation, go for this interview. And at this interview, they tell me, and it's a very serious interview. We have a little glass between us. It's almost, and for me, this was my first time traveling to the West. And so I feel like I'm in a movie. And the man says, are you married? And I keep saying, no, I'm not married, I'm not married. And he keeps insisting, are you married? And I even wave my hands. And he says, you have a Muslim woman wear their ring on their left hand on their right hand because their left hand is unclean. And I thought I didn't even know this. And maybe I am unclean, I don't know. And then he just kept insisting I was married, and I thought maybe I was married and it was such a traumatic marriage, I had blocked it out of my memory, and he said, we have information to lead us to believe that you're married. And I thought, well, what is the secret information, CIA information? And then they called my father into the interview and they said, you know your daughter is married? And my father was like, she's not married. But basically, to cut the long story short, they had seen a photograph on Facebook and they wouldn't have told me this if I didn't say, oh, I wrote a book, and then they thought, oh, maybe she's a legitimate human being because she wrote a book, I don't know. But they showed me a photo that they found on Facebook of my parents getting married in 1975. It had been my profile photo just because I loved the photo so much. And they had thought that it was me getting married in the photo. And so that was my first introduction. And then when he gave me the visa, as I was leaving out the door, he tells me, Ms. Khan, don't mess this up. Like if I'm going to their great country, I mustn't mess it up. And I think I was pretty young, so I was scared the whole time. I thought somebody's going to arrest me, or I'm going to, I'm the wrong one here. And now I look back at it in reflection and think it was just ridiculous that I was being treated like this just because.
So Michelle, I mean, in your journey, in many cases, you being different led to very warm responses and generosity and curiosity, people wanting to know about you and opening their doors to you and being very kind. But you do also write about the visa. You couldn't get off the boat and part of the way going to Greenland up the coast of Africa because of the visa restrictions travelling. And you also talk about the mixed reaction when you first arrived in Greenland, that some of the children were rather taken aback at seeing you, never having seen anyone who looked like you before. Can you tell us a bit about what it was like travelling as someone who was rather different to those you were moving among a lot of the time?
Well, in a way, yes, I met a lot of difficulties, but at the moment I didn't consider them as difficulties. I took everything patiently, and no, it seemed to me that I have been lucky, absolutely lucky. As Togo was a French colony, I didn't need visa for France. I had a lot of difficulties in Africa. Africa today speaks of unity, but you can't go from Togo to the next Ghana without having a visa. And fortunately, our language, and if you look me well in the face, you can see a small scarification here, which shows that I am Mina. And, well, that was our ancestral identity card. So they say, oh, he's a Mina, then, yeah. So from there to Ivory Coast, yeah, I spoke French. They say, oh, he's from a French colony. Yeah. And soon, I had a lot of difficulties to travel to North Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, etc. And I arrived in France, Nobody asked me anything. I said, do you want my visa? They said, no, tu parles français, ça va. Then, yeah. Okay. Now, after 1 year in France, I said, well, I'm now going to Germany. I was in the train. An officer came and said, sir, your ticket? I show my ticket. Sir, your visa? What? Say, your visa? I said, no, I don't know what that. I'm not going to Belgium. I'm just crossing Belgium to go to Germany. He said, you need a transit visa. He said, okay, you will get out of the train. I was put out of the train with my luggage. I couldn't be, it seemed to me that I was dreaming. And the station master said, oh, there is a Belgian consulate not far from here. There is only one taxi. If you take that taxi, you can get your visa. I'm from Paris, thinking of coming to in Germany in the afternoon, but I took the evening train and then I came at midnight. I didn't know where to go. And fortunately, I was talking with two ladies at this. What to do? No, I want to go and live with the Eskimos. Say, do you know? No, are you serious? I said, yes, I left my country since 6 years ago, and I want to go. Why? Are you a scientist? Are you a glaciologist? Are you no, because I read that there are no snakes in Greenland. And oh, okay. They say, okay, we shall put you up, and the next day you can find. We were talking so much that they couldn't believe my story, and they put me up for 1 year. After that, I went to Denmark. And in Denmark, in Copenhagen, I wanted to get my visa for Greenland. They said, no, Greenland is a special territory. You cannot go like that. You must be a scientist to go there. They say, oh, Mr. Pumasi, what is the temperature in your country? I said, 30 degrees. Oh, 30 degrees. Above zero or under zero? I said, no, above the zero. Which means a difference of 70 degrees, and you cannot bear that temperature. I cannot let you go. So I went to the French embassy, and I wanted to speak with the cultural conseiller, and who came to the Danish administration. Then I got my visa for Greenland.
Amazing. Yeah. Rice, you, like Tete Michel, you have integration, the importance of integration and the challenge of that. You're now known as the unofficial mayor of Tromsø, if I'm correct. Trondheim, I beg your pardon. And your brother is a farmer in Norway. Can you talk a bit about what that process of integration involves?
So everyone, the process of integration, everyone has his own story, but people, as someone who has been also working in the municipality actually to this, in that field of integration, trying to help newcomers to navigate all the structures of the state and the administration, getting papers, having a doctor, going to the police. People come to Norway, especially newcomers. Most of the time they come to countries with difficulties, and they have another conception of, for example, the police. So if you talk to someone about the police already, they are, even though they didn't do anything, so they don't want to have anything to do with the police. The police in Norway, actually, they don't even have weapons on them. So they are really nice. You have to tell them, no, they are nice here, you can talk to the police, you don't run, you'll never see them on the street. So, yeah, the small things like that. What you have to do here, or what you, So, yeah, on my experience, so everyone has his own story, but how I was lucky. But when I reached Norway, which one was lucky? I reached Norway. I didn't went to a town, a bigger town, not even a Trondheim, where I live now. I end up in this small village called Klabu, very far away. And I was the only melanated person there. And people were curious. They knew they had the municipality there had to do a special meeting to because they knew that okay, someone newcomer is coming around here. So it was quite strange that everyone was driving and that they had to stop when they see me to give me a lift. And tell me, where are you going? We are taking you. So they really took care of me. That was my lucky to be there. So I use that as an opportunity, actually, to interact with people. But I had also the other good advantage I had. I'm quite fast learning languages. So I had already my background with several languages, and I learn very fast Norwegian. I learned Norwegian in 3 months. Normally in Norway, it can take you, if you are good, it can take you 8 months. And 8 months we will still have some. But many people do come there and then they still take, after 10 years, it's still not working because it's totally a new language. The pronunciation, and there is 3 more letters, so it's totally different. So I did learn in 3 months, and people were impressed. In 3 months I finished, and I said they wanted to send me to this course, Norwegian course that take 2 years. But in 3 months I was finished, and I took a text that it was finished for me. Directly I took another text that was more advanced, so I was ready for the university. So, and at the same time, in the same period, my second collection of poetry was coming out. Was Nomad, a refugee poet. And that when I started another kind of journey, which was more stable, literary, and literary and physically too. But I had all the time a challenge because of me being me. Even though after that point I became what you can call the last Viking to meet on the street, but not everyone accepted that I'm a Viking. So I had to travel countries, so they couldn't believe when they saw my passport. At some places they thought probably I was an African American. And then I speak, but when they see the passport, that was something else. What? Also, you will see they will gather together. Norwegian. They will literally stop the train, take my passport, call me to the police, whatever. They will use what you call this train. So it has happened to me many times, especially in East European countries. So no one never believed my new identity. So
That must have got a bit tiring after a while. I mean, it sounds funny when you tell it, but surely if it was me, after the 3rd or 4th time, I'd be, probably after the 2nd time to be fair, I'd be sort of like, oh, come on, again, really? How did you deal with that? Because, it's funny to tell it, but it must be wearing to experience.
it's wearing, but the things are what. I'm quite a sarcastic person sometimes, and then I took it very funny. all the time when they were doing it, and then I was enjoying. They were not wasting my time anyway, because I've learned to be zen with life. Take things easy. Hakuna matata. Everything will just go on its way.
Very wise advice. Rice was talking there about language and extraordinary facility with language that he has. You travel to many different countries. Since you've been able to travel, you have made the most of that, and you have gone to a huge range of places: China, Canada, Turkey, to name a few, and a huge number of others. How do you approach languages when you travel? Do you make the effort to speak any? If you're going to a place where you don't speak the language, do you make an effort to learn some, or is there a general approach that you take?
I try to learn a little bit of the language before I leave, but I'm not. I mean, so I lived in Shanghai for like 6 months, and the basic things I knew in Chinese was I don't eat meat, 我不要肉, I don't eat meat, 我要蔬菜, I want vegetables. Most of my language has been limited to food and how to control the food. I'm not very good with languages. I mean, I even just know, having grown up with parents who speak Urdu, I don't even know enough Urdu. I just speak a little bit of it. So a lot of it is hand language and pointing, and I do use now, because of technology, I use Google Translate a lot. So in Turkey there was a driver who helped. We got stuck on a mountain in the car, and another tow truck driver came by and helped us, and he was just the kindest. You know, when you're in a foreign country and you don't know anyone and someone is kind to you, it's incredibly special. But we really were stuck on this mountain, and he towed us all the way down and took us to another city that we needed to go. And I thanked him on my translation app, with like this long, lovely message about saying, you just saved our lives. So the translation apps are really very helpful. Sometimes I have them speaking into the translation app, and then it translates for me, so we're almost having an immediate conversation. But that relies on Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi is never always good everywhere. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it does change the game, doesn't it? I've had that experience of travelling somewhere where I don't speak the language, and in a hotel owner kind of typing things in and holding it up to welcome you at the desk. It's quite amazing.
And the sudden realize, the way the world opens, when you suddenly realize what the person is, from like not understanding anything, you're just like, yes, that's what I mean.
Yes. Tete Michelle, we've spoken before about the many languages you speak. Mina being your first language, French being your learned language at school, and the language that you wrote your book in. And then, of course, Greenlandic, which you learned in Greenland. And you talk, at the opening ceremony, you shared with us some of the extraordinary things that you'd learned just through a few words, like igloo, meaning house, rather than the picture that we may have. You protect it in Greenland. Can you tell us why that's so important? The language of Greenlandic, because it's up on signs, isn't it? And it always has to be first. Greenlandic and then Danish. Why is that so important? Why does the language matter so much?
The language is spoken in Greenland since 3,000 years is the Inuit language. Denmark, Greenland became a part of Denmark since Erik the Red traveled to that country, where he met nobody, because from Iceland they came to the south of Greenland, while the Inuit coming from Mongolia, Siberia, Canada, Alaska, Canada, etc. They were in the northern part of Greenland. Some of them came up to the south, and on the other coast, on the east coast, went to Amazalik, etc. But when the Viking came, there were no people, so they called the country Greenland, and they stayed there. And in 1700 of Greenland and the kingdom of Denmark and kingdom of only one kingdom, a pastor called Hans Egede said, oh, since Erik the Red, that means since 1890, we have not heard about the Norman, about the Vikings who went there. What has happened to them? And they decided to make an expedition there. When they came, when Hans Egede came, he saw nobody. Well, anyway, Denmark became the owner of Greenland, a colony. And in 2009, they have their autonomy, an extended autonomy, which means that their language has now become the official language. When I made my last journey 2 years ago, and I had to go to the the village house and give a talk there. The announcement, my announcement was written in Eskimo and then translated into Danish. All official papers are written in Eskimo and then translated into Danish, which means that we in Africa, we are independent since 60 years. We don't have our own official language. In Togo, French is the official language. But in Greenland today, Greenlandic is the official language. That is one of the reasons also why the young Greenlanders who are proud to have their own language as their official language will not accept that tomorrow they become subject of America. That English should be to come over Greenlandic, etc. Eskimo, by personal experience. When the very day I arrived in the country, the children, they saw me, oh, they called me Tornasuk, the devil. Oh, I, the devil? Yeah, they were afraid because in the legend, there is a powerful spirit in the mountain, and he's a black giant. And so when the children saw me, yeah, they said, oh, Tornasuk. Yeah. In the house where I was welcome, I asked in the village if anyone would like to put me up. And they came and said, yes, everybody wants to put you up. And I went there. I slept. The next morning, you know, to have water to wash yourself, you must go and break the ice, to melt the ice, to get water, and then to wash yourself. Then it was my turn to come and wash myself. The man of the house said, you must use the same towel. I said, no, I have a clean towel in my rucksack. He said, no, you must use our towels. So I took the towel and started washing my face. All the children came at the door, were looking at me, because in their head, I shall turn white. They said that as soon as I wipe my face, I will appear white. So they were disappointed and they said, Ganok at the rapid. And then the boy said, Wana, akalumik at the rapugan. Say, Una, Maria Mik Adela Bok. Oh, you want to know my name? Oh, yes. My name is Tete Michel. They say, oh, Tete Michel was too long for them. They say, oh, Michel. Mikili. And then afterwards they call me Mikili Swag. So, But I learned something very important. When I told them that Wangan, Tete Michel, Mick, Atera, Pok, they said, oh, no, Mick, no, 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 no. He came in front of me, he said, Wangan, Tete Michel, Mick, Atera, Punga, Una, Rice, Atera, Pok, Atera, Pit, Atera, Pung. Then I learned that in French, you say, je m'appelle, tu t'appelles, il s'appelle, appelle, appelle, appelle. But in Eskimo, the noun comes after the verb. Aterapu, you wait. Aterapunga, my name is. Aterapok, he or her name is. Aterapit, aterapumut, ateraput. So I began just like that. Just quite, how do I say, you know, normally, I did the same as you know, I have been to school 6 years in my life. I learned how to write and read. Then, voler de ses propres ailes. Then self-educated man, and then I arrived there. Yes, just and sometimes I have the impression that I have not traveled. I arrived in Greenland. Greenland is a colony, and my country was a colony. What is the difference? And their traditional way of life. We are eating together with our hands. We are the same in Africa, you know. And the father of the house where I was staying behaved like my father or grandfather at home. So the great difference was
Snakes.
yeah, okay, no. Yes. Another question.
You can say what the great difference was. I was just joking.
She was making a joke.
Oh yes, but a lot of difference. Yes, the food, whale meat and whale skin. That's matak. The name of it is matak. And you must eat a lot of blubber, graisse, like fat.
fat.
You sit on your sledge and you say, Dama! And then the 12 dogs will and the dogs, you will tell them what to do. Left. Yo. Right. Oh, need, stop. And they all stop. But they must obey the voice of the driver. So it is quite a different country. About road, there is no road. You travel and you follow the path of the previous sledges. When the snow starts and the snow falls on that path, you don't know where to go. You are in a world. The ground is white, the sky is white, or everything is white, you know. So you stop and you build an igloo to let the storm stop, and then you start your journey, continue your journey again. So that is also a difference. It is a special and the sun. You will have the sun for 4 months without night. 4 months, according to the latitude. 4 months without night, and in September, the sun will start going down, but for 3 months. 3 months without any light. There you see the polar are so huge, and another language. You don't understand everything. So, and
Yeah, Shabnam, you write about going to a number of writers' residencies. I have to say I'm very jealous. I've never been on a writer's residency, and it's something that was always intrigued me. And you write about a number of amazing experiences you've had in different places, that Shanghai experience being one of those. And I've always had this sort of fear that if I ever did go on a writing residency and have travelled to write, that I might suddenly feel the pressure of, oh, I'm here supposed to write really well, and it actually might make it very difficult to write. Was that your experience, or why is travelling, going somewhere to write, a good idea? How does that help the creative process?
Well, because when I started to travel, writing residencies were the only way I could travel around the world without using too much money. It was the cheapest option for me to get out of the house, as long as 2 or 3, to just write. But you get to see a new country, you get to work on your writing, they feed you. And I mean, every residency is different. Like the first few that I went for, they wanted me to pay for my flight, but then they would give me the 1 month in New York, and the food and the accommodation, and I mean that kind of accommodation would have cost so much of money, the food would have cost so much of money. So I would like weigh out. So at that time, I mean, I was still freelancing, I wasn't making a lot of money. I was trying to find ways where I could see the world but save as much money as possible. So the residency in China would have paid for my flight and given me breakfast and accommodation, but they wouldn't have given me lunch and dinner, so I would try to save for that, for lunch and dinner. Each one was very different. I volunteered at the school in Kashmir. You had to get there, but then they would give you accommodation and food. So for what I was trying to do, which was be a writer, that still seems to me like the best option for me to see as much of the world as possible. But it also means you have to write a really good application letter, which is the skill set I have to try to get into these residencies. But they're just the best way. And also you meet, the other best part, and it's the same as festivals, you meet people from around the world that you'd never think you meet, you know. And residencies is the same, but you get to live with them at least for a month, and you might hate them or you might love them, but you get to meet people from around the world in a way you'd never get to meet. And you know, I live in Durban, I live in South Africa. South Africa is at the bottom of Africa. It's very far to fly anywhere. It takes really long for me. If I'm traveling, I try to do as much traveling as I can. And when I'm not traveling, I'm living at home with my parents. I always try to remind people like this, I'm at home. And Durban, it's not one of the big cities in South Africa. It's a small city on the East Coast. So I don't get the same exposure as I would get if I was living in a big city. I'm not exposed to people from all around the world. So with those residencies, when I get to live and hear stories about people who went to Greenland and other countries, again, that feeds that passion. So writing residencies was just the best option for me to live my dream in the cheapest way possible.
It's very savvy advice, yeah. Have you been on any residencies, right? Or if not, has there been a place that you've gone to that has been particularly fruitful for writing?
Yeah, I've been in residency in quite a few places, and let's say I've been Sweden, that's obvious, that's a neighbor, and
Close by.
and Slovenia, Austria, Germany, Belgium, France, Senegal. I know the Senegal one.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting, but I'm curious, do you apply for these or are they inviting you?
I've been invited most of the time. I'm quite very bad at applying. So most of the time I've been invited. But the one in Slovenia, the one in Austria, I did apply. Yeah. But most of the time I was invited.
And what's the advantage? What do you get out of doing this?
The advantage is that it's more easier to write when I'm having a residency than working from at home. Because at home things I don't concentrate much. There is a lot of distraction. Even though I'm quite good at being alone for months, but there is some distraction just being in Toronto. If I disappear even for 3-4 days, so my mom will start calling, everyone will start calling. But when they know that I've traveled, so they don't bother, they know that I will come back. And being outside writing, it's more even refreshing for the mind. Yeah.
Can I add, because I didn't answer the question properly and it's related to what you're saying, is that I write better at home. I don't write well in residencies because I'm so excited about everything. I'm like, oh, there's a building, everything is waiting outside, why am I inside trying to write? So it doesn't work for me when you asked if it works, but it means I get to travel, so I do it.
Yeah, you know what I do? I don't write at home in Toronto. When I have to write, I have to get out of my apartment. I go to the library, or most of the time I'm known to rent my friend's cabins. Yeah, I don't know. I'm quite distracted when I'm. Yeah, and I have another passion which is cooking. So I'll be exploring.
Fair enough. There are many distractions, I'm sure. Yeah. We're going to go to audience questions in just a moment, but just wanted to ask a last quick question. If you just have a short answer. If we have any aspiring travellers in the audience, what advice would you give them? Tete, would you like to start?
What advice? Someone asked me a very curious question 2 years ago, a journalist. He said, you, Tete Michel, of 80, 2 years ago I was 82, today I'm 84. Tete Michel of 82 years, I said, oh, I will never pretend giving an advice to Tete Michel of 16 years, because he continues giving me advice. Tete Michel of 16 years has made, I am the son of my youth.
The child is the father.
Yeah,
of the
so
man.
the advice I will give is to be volunteer. Yes. If you have decided to do some, people ask me from time to time. People ask me, "Oh, what is your new project?" The only project of my life is the project I had when I was 16 years old. It is still today the same project. My dream is to end my life with the Eskimos. I had that dream when I was 16, and I still have the same dream.
Yes, and I'm excited to say that I will be travelling to Greenland with Tete Michel in August, so it's very exciting. Yes. Shabnam, what advice would you give?
My advice is to be brave. Just be brave. I didn't even know what I was going up on that donkey up the mountain, what I was going to do, and I was crying the whole way up the mountain, thinking, every time you do something wonderful that's going to be amazing, you will also at that moment be thinking, why the hell am I doing this? This is the most scariest thing I've ever done in my life. But I can promise you, on the other side of it, you will be thinking, thank God I did this. It has opened my life in so many ways. It has changed my life. When you feel that drive or that passion do something, to say something to someone, or it might seem crazy and it might seem the scariest thing you've ever done, but do it, because it will take you somewhere you will never expect. My life where I am now is only because I opened the doors that people told me not to open. I asked and pursued the things that society told me don't do. And my life has been magical for it. And so whatever you're scared of doing, go and do it. And you might be scared to do it, but do it. And that is the best advice I can give.
Wonderful. And Bryce, what about you?
First, I'll tell you that you have to start now, as long as you're young. And to do that, check even the possibility, the passport, what country, even though it's not that far, that you can reach first. Don't try to think, oh, I want to go to Greenland directly. Try to explore your neighborhood. That is the first, the neighbor of your neighbor. And then go. And only if you started younger, is more better. Because at some point, if you said, I'll wait until I finish my studies. You can finish, I'm sorry, I'm not telling you to stop your studies. You should continue. Don't stop on your master's. You should stop on PhD and over. But don't wait until you become, because you will be already working in administration and not having time to travel anyway. So you should start it young and not be afraid. The world is beautiful and there is a lot of possibility. Of course, there is a lot of ugly things happening. I've seen all this shit, but I'm still here. And I'm still alive and enjoying and kicking with you here. So, please.
Lovely, thank you. So we have time for a few questions, a couple of questions. Does anyone have a question for the panel? Anything? Yes, lovely, a hand over here. Could someone take a mic round or yes? Take mine.
My question is to Tete Michel, sir. Sir, you mentioned about Greenland, and I watched in news where it shows that Donald Trump, after elected as president, he want to buy Greenland. And there are also people who said that Trump include us in USA, or there are also people who oppose it. So, what is your opinion? Do you support it? Or,
For me, it is a joke. Nothing else. Even last evening, I'm still in contact with my friends in Greenland. Last evening, I received emails from, you must respect other people, respect their country, and respect their culture. You cannot say that, you can say, I want to buy, oh, my neighbor, can I buy your field? Yes. That is an arrangement between the neighbors. But you cannot say, I want to buy a country with population, with women, with men, with children. We are no longer in the centuries of slavery. My ancestors were sold by people who had the same mentality. I love Greenland. I will never, never, never accept that history comes back. That you buy a land with the people on the land. No. So, for me, it is a joke. But, I think in the whole history, this will be the first time an African can defend Greenland.
Any other questions?
Remember we said don't be scared. Don't be scared. Whatever it is, it will never be a silly question. It will always be a good question.
Yes. Oh, there's a hand there. Lovely. Oh, and one here.
So like before, like Dada Mishra mentioned like how a journalist asked him about what he would say to his 16-year-old self. So I would also like to know like about both of you, like what you would also say to your 16-year-old or younger self.
What would you say to your younger self?
Oh yeah. I can actually add a little bit similar story. I don't talk too much about, with my younger self because it's already gone actually. But there is a things that a question that sometimes comes when I meet a journalist and meet some new friend. Is about what's your project, yeah, and what's your dream, yeah. But I already fulfilled my dream and my project. I don't want anything more than being a writer and a poet. It's finished. That is whatever I've done. So I don't need much. So I've been dreaming most of the time about that. Even my background, my story, my parents wanted me to be an engineer. My father was totally disappointed when I took modern literature as my subject. But he smiled all the way when I presented, went until I finished, I do my PhD, and then he smiled a little bit, but he said, but I've been better engineer. It could have been better. But, yeah, I've already done what I want. I'm still alive, but my dream was to become a poet, a writer. And that's what I've done.
Thank you. It strikes me, just realised that we've got 3 people sitting on the stage who all disobeyed their parents. I'm not sure if this is a great message, but, but that is what is reality, so it's interesting. Shabnam, if you wanted to answer.
Yes. I mean, I obeyed my parents in the end. We came to an understanding, but yes. I would tell myself life is going to be nothing like what you thought it was going to be, nothing at all like what you thought it was going to be and what you told it was going to be like. And it's going to be so hard. Growing up is so hard. People get sick, people you love die, but it's going to be beautiful in a way you never knew. If I could tell my 16-year-old, I'm nothing like what I was 10 years ago, I would tell myself life is going to change and it's going to be different from what you think. But you have to accept what happens and try to make it beautiful whatever happens.
Was there a question down there?
Just never, if there is a failure, whenever there is a failure, whenever there is a crisis, there is all the time an opportunity. So never even feel bad about what you have done before. Just forgive yourself, continue, make it better, whatever.
Good afternoon to you all. My question is, all of you have traveled a lot and written about different places of the world. How is your feeling about coming to Assam, and are you going to write about something Assam in the future? About this place in the world.
You know, when I started, I have said that when I started my journey, in Senegal, I was employed by the embassy by Indian embassy to earn my some money and continue my journey. And I have that one day I will be visiting India and then Assam now. I am so, how would I say, so happy. Yes, to visit here, and fascinated by everything, even the writing. The writing, you know, it's for me like a broderie. You know, it's that way of writing. It's so beautiful. Exam, no. No, but just the pleasure, you know. Yeah, I think every African child has that, to know how to write and that. And I have asked my Greenlandic friends if one of them would like to come and stay for 1 year in my village in Togo. Up to now, there is no candidate. Because they say that the climate in Denmark is too hot for them. How can they support the climate in Togo? And yeah, but I hope that one day I shall bring a friend, Greenland friend, to Togo. And why not? We may come to Assam together and pay you a visit.
This is the real Greenland. Yeah, everywhere you go, you find it.
Yeah, I shall contact Rahul.
I mean, thank you. That's a lovely question. It's been amazing here. You know, we went out to the street last night, and a shopkeeper just loved that there were so many of us foreign writers, and he gave us tea, he gave us mithai. I have a nose ring on that I haven't had fixed for the last 3 years. He took it to a store and he just fixed it for free and brought it back and gave it to me, which is something I always carry now from Assam. And remember, someone was so kind to just fix my nose ring for me. So I'll carry that feeling of like being just welcome.
The bookkeeper I wanted to buy, he said no, for you. So I shall come back to Assam.
Right.
First, I would say that people in Assam, the way you welcome folk, sometimes I'm just afraid, is it real? Or are you pretending? Yeah? That you have a big heart. And I love it. The way people, the way you are, you come to grow up, you are saints. I've been traveling the world, I've never seen people polite like you. Welcoming people like you. I don't know, I cannot describe, but you are just beautiful human beings. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And I also have to add my voice to that. This is my second time here. I came to the festival last year and had such a wonderful experience that I was delighted to come back, despite the fact that this week I missed my daughter's 2nd birthday to be here. So that shows you how much I love coming to you. It's been such a wonderful discussion. I know we could talk on for much longer, but I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. But I want to thank you all for being here, for paying such wonderful attention, the great questions, and our wonderful panel as well. Please join me in thanking them.
So sadly, with this 1 hour of session, the road cannot be traveled any further. But definitely with the esteemed speakers, we have traveled a very beautiful journey, which was very adventurous, very emotional, with a lot of eye-openers, and definitely a lot of food for thought on the so-called thing called life. So I really thank you all for giving us this journey with you all. And today, if you ask me, who is the richest person? And my answer will be now, of course, them. Because I consider who is a rich person, any one of you who has a lot of experiences to reflect upon, to share, and to feel it. And you can definitely gather much experiences from your life through a lot of traveling, writing, or sitting and hearing from travel writers. A round of applause for esteemed speakers. With this, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our speakers and panelists for sharing your experiences with us and letting us through your journey. I also would like to thank our guests, our audience, lovely audience, for your constant engagement and enthusiasm, our rapporteurs for documenting the session, and also the volunteers and the technical team for their support. I, Tosifa Ahmed Hussain, with this wrap up the session for today's evening and wish you all a very happy, good evening. Thank you.
What will be the morning?